all those things mean it's harder on people. I don't live in this community, but I'm part of this whole community. So I'm a conduit between the federal government, and I try to get away from all, like, shield everyone else from all that stuff. And just, all you need to do is I'm gonna work hard to make that happen. That's what I try to do with Steve and all these EMA directors that I work with so diligently. So emphasizing, how it's gonna decrease the vulnerability, and then getting public support. And again, I think Steve's team did a great job, because I attend different meetings sometimes, for the whole country, and I ask different planners, like, how do you get people to come? And so there's a lot of different ideas, and I like what you guys did. You got actual results, which that's huge for us. So it's really makes me happy. So planning mechanisms. Again, this is kind of like in the plan. We have to identify what other resources we use to help this plan, or did this plan help any of those ones? It's kind of how that intercoordinates with each other, or did any new plans become out of this? So that's key. What me and Steve and everyone else does is look at all those and see what we can incorporate to the plan. Growth in the plan, kind of touched on that earlier, but it's really how much. We all know California and New York is moving intensely. Right? I didn't do that. I actually came here because I had family, so I got retired. But identifying, like, that's as they grow and people start building these huge projects where someone sells 50 acres of farmland and then they build 1 acre lots or half acre lots, and it's on a hill, and all of a sudden now there's concrete or asphalt there. The water's not going to get saturated. Now it's going to go somewhere. It has to go somewhere. Those are things that the building and zones have to be on, but people have to be aware too. Like, what can you do to mitigate against that? If you're down here and that's up here, well, if it starts happening, severe loss or whatever, and they will pay for lifting your building up 5 feet. I mean, that's a true thing. It actually happens in this. It happens more in the beach areas if you see the houses that are on stilts, but this can happen anywhere. If it has to be identified as a continual threat. Vulnerabilities, again, that just ties into what we're talking about here. That's not something you want to have happen, right? So mitigating against that is kind of what our goal is for the end of the day. Project list. Prior to 2023, you had to have 2 projects per jurisdiction, per hazard. One that was on a building and one that's existing in the that came down to 1 now, and which makes it easy, because let's just say a jurisdiction is involved but has no project whatsoever. Put 1 project. We'll put 1 project will be outreach, public outreach. That's like $10,000, $20,000 that jurisdiction can have to print up flyers or go out to a school, offset, firemen showing up and talking about fires or whatever that may be. It's an offset way to do that. But our goal is to put as many projects as you can that you need on there, and then let's get you the money for it. So that was a big plus, because it was hard for people to justify every single county. Within a county, there might be 7 different cities and unincorporated towns that want to be part of this. And each one of them has to show up, have to be part of the process, and they have to have had to have 2 projects, which made it hard to pass. And that's just kind of safety and different ways to look at the threat, basically. Questions for me before I head it over to the guy?
How about that? Okay. Well, you do a lot of stuff that you're gonna quit doing. And it's hard to discern all this, and it's the same way for your city leaders, the public safety conferences. Building resistance, infrastructure, or something. All those acronyms have different things. But I want to try to drill all this stuff that I'm talking to you about. First of all, Mayor, for you, we've never done a hazard mitigation project in Marion County in my 29 years. So I can't tell you for sure how that money is doled out, or you apply for the project. My understanding, it would either be an advance or it would be you write a check to pay him for his dozer work, the state writes you a check back.
Reimbursement.
Yeah, it's not like the FEMA grant reimbursements. If anybody in here, well, I don't think I've got anybody in here. A FEMA grant for disasters, I got my COVID money last week from COVID in 2020. These programs are paid through the state, so they don't go through that federal bureaucracy. I've still got the disaster from Stagecoach Road, still got the disaster from Teams Road, but I haven't got my money back that the county's spent. That's a different pot of money. This would be it would either be up front or there'd be some kind of paper process. So they're not gonna make you bear the whole burden of it. Because again, they're trying to do this so it will work for the cities and it will work for the county. I made a bunch of notes here while he was talking, and I'll just try to touch on. And he showed you various pictures up there. There's in hazard mitigation, there's big projects and little projects. Joe Baxter was EMA director over, I think, Lincoln County, and he spent 15 years of his career doing a flood mitigation project. And I think those slides were actually from him. I went over there with Charlie Hall, the regional director, a couple of years ago to look at that project. It took him 15 years and millions of dollars to do that project. And how he stuck through it the whole time, I don't know, because he was fighting the cities and the counties. It's really impressive over there what they did to relieve some major flooding they had in their towns. But it doesn't have to be big projects. It can be small projects. One of the things, if you've got the county list there, one of the things that we've got on our county list is we want to upgrade the drainage on South Pittsburgh, on Squatchy Mountain Road and Orm Mountain Road, I believe was the other one we had on there, to try to prevent washouts. Again, that's not $1 million project, that's a $20,000 project. So it doesn't have to be $1 million project. So there are a lot of projects. You mentioned safe houses. I think you touched on that. The city of Kimball actually put in there, they're considering safe houses. Now, again, we went into each of the meetings with the mayors, and if we hadn't done that, we'd be doing it in this meeting today. And we threw this in them real quick, and we said, we gotta have some ideas. And so the ideas will change. The mayor Jasper, one of his main goals is his entire water system runs off of a computer down there at City Hall. If the power goes down, he can't run his system. Pretty important for the infrastructure. When we get to the mayor, and I'm picking on Rex, he's not here, he was going to come. We get to Kimball, Rex says, I'm interested in safe places, safe houses. And so that's what we put on the project for Kimball. That's one of the projects we put on there. We've got stuff to work off of from Dade County and Jackson County. They're real proactive on that down there because they have a higher frequency of tornadoes. So each one had different ideas. That doesn't mean that one's right and one's wrong, or that they got everything they might have wanted. And again, I'm not trying to put you mayors on the spot, but what I'm trying to get around to is this plan is fluid. That's the way it's intended to be. Now, we do it once every 5 years, but one thing he barely touched on is the updating process has been changed for the hazard mitigation plan. I'll give you a good example. About 3 years ago, Orm Mountain Road had a bad slide up there. All right, it's still going on today, where that road slid off and covered up. They spent thousands of dollars up there. Some of it came back through disaster recovery from disasters. Most of it the county road department has done on their own. That wasn't in our hazard mitigation plan when all that occurred. So I talked to the road commissioner. We talked to FEMA, and we submitted a letter that says, we want to add this to our plan. That's how easy it is now. So if something comes up after you have a weather event and you see something, all you've got to do is send me an email, Mayor, and say, we want to add this to our plan. And so we can add it midstream. You don't have to wait 5 years. All right. Another key part about the plan is, this plan is a guide. It's a recommendation. It doesn't require Jasper, Monteagle, Whitwell. It doesn't require any city or the county to do anything. It's not a requirement. It's a guideline and a planning process. So, and this is one of the things I didn't do a good job in 2019 when we updated our plan, because somebody called me about 2 years later and said, hey, you never fixed that road that we put in the plan. Well, I'm putting these guys on the spot now. It's not up to me, it's up to the city leaders and the county mayor and myself at the county level, myself and the mayor, to push these projects to get them started. Does that make sense? In other words, they're there, and all of us are bad about this. We might have an earthquake tomorrow, we'll forget all about this stuff because we'll be so focused on everything else. So it has to be pushed continually for people to do this. And that's one place the citizens can do. I hate to say it, Mayor, I was on the city board for 12 years. I know what it's like. My ditch is stopped up, I want it cleaned out. That's what we need. So it's a joint effort between the public and the municipalities and I hope I'm explaining all this right, because I'm passionate about it. It's a joint effort that, you know, somebody has to remind them, because again, they have water line breaks, they have everything every day, and this stuff falls to the wayside. Now, to apply for a hazard mitigation grant, like Keith mentioned, there's a pre-application form. And when Old Mountain Road, 2 years ago, we started the process of Old Mountain Road. I went to the road, well, I guess it was after we changed road, after Corey came in as road superintendent. And I went to Corey and I said, we can get money to fix this road. So we did a pre-application. It's a real simple process. I sent Tima, and even the lady at Tima, now it's Shannon Ball, it's somebody different, but I sent a notice up there and I said, here, and they sent me a short form back, what's your project? What is it, how does it tie to everything? One page answer, went back in, and then they sent me the grant application package. Of course, it was 48 pages long. but that's how easy it is to start the process. Now, for you mayors and your people in the cities, you're better off if you have some high priority projects that you've already vetted out. What I mean is, okay, I'm putting a generator in for this building in this plant, because this is our emergency operations center. So before I can apply, they're gonna ask for costs. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the electrical contractor up here. I'm gonna say, tell me what I need. 3-phase, single phase. You give me the specifics and let me get a preliminary price. So when that application comes back, we've got to do the same thing. And going back to the Old Mountain Road, where we are right now, is Corey has got an engineer that's been working on the design. It's turned out it's going to be $1 million project at least, because we thought at first we could just slide some stuff out, build a retaining wall, but it's much more complicated. But we're going through that planning process. Once we get that, all we have to do is turn around and apply for those funds. Now, yes, it takes some time, but the state has done a lot. Trust me, I've been here 29 years. Yeah, I'll be starting the 30th year. Starting my 29th year, actually this month. The state has gotten a lot better in handling this stuff than they used to. And of course, but again, you're working, if you've been in the military, if you've been working for the federal government, you know there's a lot of stuff out there that you have to go through. I'm just being candid with you. But we're here to help. We're here to help. My goal is again, I've thrown it back to the cities and to the county. It's their job to push the projects forward. My job is for Mayor to call me and say, Steve, we want to proceed with this. We need some help. What do we do? Okay, I'm going to help them get the pre-application grant. I'm going to get you tied up with Southeast Development District, because they can fill all that 48 pages out real easy. And we coordinate that stuff to help y'all do it. That's my goal. But as far as Steve going out there and actually doing the project, well, aside from the generator I have in here, the others are back to the road department. But we've all got to work together to make it better. Now, somebody shoot me if I talk too long. I like to get wound up. The demographics of the county have changed. Again, I've lived here all my life. And we have a lot of people that have come in. And my father came in, he was an outsider, came in 1935. So that tells you, you know, when we grew up here, my wife's the only one in the family that it's originally from here, all the way back to the Cherokee Indians. But the demographics are changing, and we're seeing a lot of things. You know, you mentioned safe places. We're looking at differently than we have in the past to how we handle the county. And a good example is, and I'm getting a little off subject here, is shelters. And what few times we've opened shelters, people come in, they'd stay in the shelter for 3 or 4 hours, and when they got Granny on the phone or Uncle John, they'd come get them and take them somewhere else if they've been evacuated from flooding. We have a lot of people that live here now, this is what I'm trying to emphasize, that don't have those contacts. So shelters are more important to us now. Now that's separate from hazard mitigation, but it follows along with it. So and frankly, our shelter program needs a lot of work. There's other things that are being done that you don't see outside of hazard mitigation. And I'll give Mayor Turner high credit. You know, we had some flooding in Prior Cove here in the last couple of years. Again, because I don't want to get into the climate argument, weather patterns have changed. I've seen it again, I've grown up here and I've seen it. Weather patterns have changed over the last few years. It's shorter, they're further apart, but more intensity in a short duration time, so we get the runoff problems. Mayor Turner, outside of the grant, he went out to the on his own, he installed 4 flood gauges in Prior Cove. So now we can sit here in the building, and if that water starts rising, we know it. He shared that information, that system with me. So again, this is a sign of mitigation. He's done something so we can warn the public faster than we did before. And I'll comment, somebody will probably ask me about sirens, I'll comment on sirens. Because there was appeal to the mayor last year, maybe earlier this year, about we need warning sirens in the county. And so I did some investigative work on it. First of all, they're very, very expensive. The second thing is they're very, very expensive to maintain. And the third thing is, who's going to set that siren off when it's time to set it off? I'll give you an example. Bridgeport and Stevenson both have sirens. The county tells you real quick down there, they don't have anything to do with it. That's up to Bridgeport to set it up. There's a lot of obstacles. I'm not saying don't put sirens in. I'm saying we need to do a lot of study. Plus the coverage area is so small in rural areas. Now, downtown Jasper maybe, but like he said, my wife has asthma. We don't ever open our windows. We couldn't hear anything that was going on. So, okay, more sirens. Another example of a project, and again, this is outside of it didn't qualify for hazard mitigation. River Landing Condos, which is over on the county line, virtually right on the county line off Suck Creek Mountain Road over there, had some serious bank erosion from flooding several years ago. And so they turned around and they needed the bank stabilized there. Well, again, they came to the county, the mayor sent them to me. It didn't qualify here, it qualified through NRCS, National Resource Conservation Service, and we were able to get a grant for them. It was a matching grant, which actually those citizens had to pay the match on it because it was private property. But we stabilized that bank over there. There's a lot of things we can do. So I've rambled a lot. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Anything you got for me, please. And again, I'm so proud everybody showed up. Yes, sir.
Real quick, sirens, we get messages on our phones. I think that's far more effective than the sirens.
Right, right.
Because